Imagine you were being paid 5 times what you charge as a band singer. How will you feel? Super excited, right? Of course. But during the performance, you later found out that the people that you are performing for are not real humans. Hi, what will you do? Will you still perform? Or you pack your tools and go? Will you even pack your tools? You run away and leave. This is a story that happened some years ago, okay, to a lady called Nora. Stay tuned while I gist you the whole thing.
Nora was a respected singer who regularly performed at high-profile weddings in Dubai. She was known in luxury wedding circles throughout the United Arab Emirates. Her voice was powerful, emotional, and trained in traditional Arabic music. She had performed for wealthy families in Abu Dhabi and had even been invited to elite events in Riyadh. Private ceremonies with strict rules were common, but one booking would become the most disturbing night of her career. One evening, Nora received a call from a man claiming to represent a private family. His voice was calm, almost too calm. He offered her 5 times her normal performance fee, but there were strict conditions. She must perform alone. No band, no assistants, no recording devices, and most importantly, she must continue singing until sunrise. At first the request sounded unusual, but wealthy clients often had strange preferences, so Nora accepted. The next morning, the payment arrived, in cash, exactly as promised. The pickup happened late at night. A black SUV arrived outside her building. The driver barely spoke. As they drove away from the bright skyline of Dubai, the city lights slowly disappeared. The roads became darker. Soon there were no buildings, just sand and silence. After nearly an hour, they reached a brightly lit compound in the middle of the desert. But something immediately felt strange. There was no music coming from inside, no laughter, no celebration, just silence. Inside the hall, the wedding was already underway. Guests filled the room, women in elegant gowns, men in traditional white thobes. The decorations were beautiful. Golden chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Long banquet tables were filled with food. But something was wrong. No one was eating. No one was talking loudly. Everyone was simply watching Nora. At the center of the room stood the bride and groom. The bride was stunning, almost impossibly beautiful. Her skin seemed to glow softly in the light. The groom stood beside her, calm and expressionless. He barely blinked. Neither of them smiled. Instead, they watched Nora closely, as if she was the true reason everyone was there. Nora began to sing. Her voice filled the hall. At first, everything seemed normal, but as the performance continued, the temperature in the room began to change. Cold, then warm, then cold again. Guests began to sway gently, but not to the rhythm of the music. Their movements were synchronized, almost mechanical. At one point, Nora paused for a few seconds between songs. Immediately, every guest in the hall turned their head toward her at the exact same moment. No delay, no confusion. That was when she understood. She was not allowed to stop. Hours passed, yet the food remained untouched. No one drank water. No waiters moved. At around 3 in the morning, Nora noticed a young girl sitting near the front. The girl smiled at her, but the smile stretched wider than it should, and when the chandelier light reflected in her eyes, they glowed, like an animal's eyes in the dark. That was when Nora began to believe something terrifying. These guests might not be human. As the first light of dawn approached, the groom slowly raised his hand. Silence filled the room. Nora finished her final note. No applause followed. The bride walked past her and whispered softly, "You have honored us." Her breath felt ice cold. Moments later, Nora was escorted outside. The driver returned her to the city, but when she looked back toward the desert compound, there was nothing there. No building, no lights, just empty sand.